This is the Endgame podcast. I'm Rod Brown.
I'm Lynch.
And I'm Max Maxwell. How common is it for a black man to own 50 McDonald's?
It's not common. I would probably say I'm easily in the top 10 in terms of number of restaurants in the country.
Black or all?
All. And I firmly believe in this. You got to have a vision. You got to see where you are today, where you want to be, and then you have to envision all of that stuff. How it looks, how it feels, all of that. You got to go get it. There is no plan B. Go get it.
Welcome back to the Endgame podcast. I'm Rod Brown.
I'm Lynch.
And I'm Max Maxwell. I know a lot of y'all been watching, but you haven't been subscribing. So please do me a favor. If you love this, if you see this right now, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We brand new. We love the support and it helps us. And if you're listening on podcast land anywhere, that's YouTube, that's Spotify, Apple, any of those places, I need you to please give us a 5-star rating and tell us what you think in the comments. But yeah, welcome to the end game. You know what it is.
Absolutely. But listen, man, today is a special day. And it's a special day because I don't know how many times we've been asked, are you going to have a guest or will you have guests? And today is the first day that there are 4 chairs on this set. So I'm really, really excited. And before we brought a guest, you guys know what the Endgame podcast is about, man. It's about receipts. It's about people that have done it. We're not theorists. We're not professors. It's people that have done real life things. And so we wanted to make sure we had a real life guest, not somebody that can tell you in theory what it's like to own franchises, but someone that, they have their foot in the game all the way up to their neck. So without any further ado, because we're going to get into a story and I don't want to waste any more time, I just want to say welcome, Adrian Smith, to the Endgame podcast.
The Endgame.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome, man. Yo, I've been trying to get Adrian on my podcast individually, selfishly for a while, but I know he's busy.
Yeah.
So I've been letting it slide, right? I've been letting it slide, but he's here though, man. So I appreciate it.
I appreciate y'all's patience.
And before we start, shout out to Lynch, bro, because I remember when Rod came up with the idea of our mastermind.
Yeah.
And you invited Adrian. I thought it was a dope add to the group. And so from there, I've always, kept my eye on watching.
Let me tell you what was cool about that. I don't know if you guys remember, but Adrian was like, I'll come check it out. I'll come check it out. And he got there and, we did what we do when we go around and you just talk about, things and try to help each other out with certain things, personal business, just life. And I don't know if y'all remember, but Adrian was like, I'm not leaving. Yeah, he got on the phone. He canceled some meetings.
I do remember that.
It's like, this is what I need. Yeah, so that was dope.
So the people don't really know though, our mastermind group is comprised of, a few young, Black, successful men. And nobody ever really checks on us. And
Or checks us.
Or it's hard for us to get poured into or to find certain things that we need to make us better. And we literally came together as a group to do that for each other. And it's been empowering ever since. So I thank y'all for having me too.
That's good for the soul.
Yeah, definitely. It's
good for the soul.
Good for the spirit.
And not only that, I think people, regardless of who like what status you are in life, I think it's important to have that on purpose fellowship with other people, like-minded people, first of all.
Like-minded.
Right? Or people where you want to be at or people where, you know what I'm saying? Because it is important to be challenged. Because for most of us, most of the time when we go in any room, we the top dog at all times. And so you got to walk into these rooms where you're not that person. Absolutely. And that's what makes it important. So all of us have our own strengths, right? Yeah. And so I think that we can humble ourselves because we run in packs. We can humble ourselves and be like, nah, you got that. Nah, that's a him question or that's a him question. So, and then like you were saying, every time we go somewhere, we're usually pouring energy into people. Yeah. And when we sit together, we get to recharge our battery pack. Right. And I thought that idea was so dope. And,
me too.
And we didn't need anything from each other than that fellowship. Yeah. And I think that was pretty dope.
Well, shout out to Sherrod. Yep. Shout out to Sherrod. Yeah. Shout out to Dion. A couple other cats.
Well, COVID took that away from us. We got to get it back.
Absolutely.
absolutely.
We gotta get it back.
We've been talking about it for a couple of weeks now, but we got to get everybody there. Maybe we could just meet up at the hangar.
Yeah, come on down. Y'all haven't seen the new flight school operation, so let's do that.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. So, man, I want to just dive in, man, and because we got Adrian here, and I know your time is very valuable.
Absolutely.
And I just want to start. I want to start at the beginning.
All right.
Right. So, how does a sixth grader handle working in a McDonald's with pops who's not like, who's not coddling you, who's like treating you like an adult and making sure business is handled? Talk about that space.
Yeah, it was very interesting because he picked up his first restaurant in 1983, Houston, Texas, and he did not coddle. There was the crew used to always laugh at me getting disciplined on the floor. And he told me one time, he was like, you stay right here. There's a fry station. He was like, he showed me how to make the fries. He said, you stay right here. You don't move. And the fries ran out. So I went and got a box of fries, and I came back and he hemmed me up against the fry machine. Like, I told you not to move. Like, dude, the fries was out. So it was very interesting time because my father was trying to get it, and he was trying to make it happen for his family with him getting his first restaurant. It was a lot of pressure on him, and it was him, my mom, my sister in the store, and it was just a very tense environment for the family just to be trying to hustle.
Family owned and operated for real.
100%, right, 100%. And he had worked for the company for 13 plus years, but this was his, and everything that was in that was what supported his family. So it was just a tough time in the sense of, for me as a child, just trying to figure out, navigate this new environment of work. And then also to stay out of the way of the ire of my old man. Cause I knew at a young age, I understood what was going on.
Yeah.
I understood. I mean, my mother and father got up and went and got it every day.
So that was a prime example. But how does an African American man in 1983 get to that McDonald's joint?
Just he kept getting raises, but would never get the promotion.
So he worked at the McDonald's.
He actually worked for the corporate office, and he kept, he did a great job, and wherever they put him, he would solve problems. He'd fix whatever environment he was in. But they would never take him to that next level. And I don't know what the politics at the time was or what, but he kept, like I said, getting raises, but not getting the promotion. And so he kept stacking his money away till he could get to a point where he would be able to afford his first store. Had a friend that was in franchising for the company down in the Houston area, and that's how we got down to Houston.
Opportunity opened up, and he was like, "Let's go." What were you living at before then?
We were in Naperville, Illinois. Bolingbrook, Naperville, Illinois. I don't know
where that's at.
It's in the suburbs of Chicago.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Suburbs of Chicago, because Oak Brook was where the headquarters was, and it was just outside of Oak Brook, Illinois.
Got it. So that makes a lot of sense. He was working in the corporation because 1983. All right. So first of all, the Fair Housing Act was implemented in 1968. So that ain't that far removed to where, you had to give loans equally to everybody and houses. So that's not that far removed from some crazy legislation that had to be changed in order to make things kind of an even playing field. Right. So he was he one of the few or the first, African Americans to own a franchise?
Not at that time. Between the years of, I don't want to misquote, but by the time he became an operator, there were a number of black operators.
That's good.
Not a large number, but there were a number of black operators across the country. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm with that.
Yeah.
And so, first restaurant, Houston was wildly successful, right?
No. Not at all.
It's not the Houston we know today?
Well, the first restaurant he received was in the Galleria, or right outside of the downtown area of Houston. And it did not have much business once all the business people went home.
Yeah.
And so in the evenings we weren't busy, and on the weekends we weren't busy. And just to put it frankly, the store was very low volume. So on Sundays, it was me, my mom, my dad, my sister, my grandmother, and a couple of crew people. because we couldn't afford to bring too many people in because the business wasn't there for them. So we, it was a struggle. And they struggled in terms of just trying to make the ends meet. With the first store, just did not make a whole lot of money. There were, it was just a tough time. So no, we were there for 3 years though. And then we got up out of there. We had to get up out of there.
Did you work in McDonald's throughout high school too?
So as soon as I turned 16, I went and got a job somewhere else because I was tired of working from home, man.
I'm out of here, Dad.
Were you tired of McDonald's or tired of working for Pops?
I was tired of working for Pops. Yeah, he was just. I mean, he's just tough. He's just tough, and it is what it is. But when we moved to LA again.
So 3 years later.
3 years after being in Houston, we moved to LA. We sold the store in Houston. We bought one in LA, South Central Los Angeles. Rough.
Right in 1987, 88?
Wow.
1987.
Oh, wow.
1987. Crenshaw and Florence.
So we know what happened in the 80s and the 90s.
Well, yeah, there's a little story about that.
Okay, be quiet.
Yeah, but so Crenshaw and Florence, I'll never forget, we went to go look at the store. The fam went to look at the store, and we're standing in the lobby, and me, my mom, and my sister were like, how fast can we get out of here? And, we were like, we're nervous. And my dad comes back to the table like, all right, y'all, we moving. We coming. This where we coming.
So, moving to LA.
Yeah. But the difference was, though, as rough as that store was, that store made money.
Let me ask you something. In hindsight, what did your dad see?
He saw the opportunity. He saw that store, and my dad, when he first became a supervisor, he was in DC, Washington, DC.
Okay.
Back in the late 60s, early 70s.
So that's crazy too.
Nuts. So he looked at LA, was like, oh, this good. I got this. Yeah, right. He's like, I got this. And so
do you think he saw that a lot of black people don't mind spending money on fast food?
He just he saw that. Yeah. He saw a very comfortable environment for him to operate, to make an impact on the community, and to be successful. Because in Houston, he wasn't able to be successful.
Gotcha.
He saw opportunity in LA for him to be successful because it did make the money. He saw the consumers, and he said, all I need to do is come in, let the community know I'm here, and everything will be all right. Yeah. And he was right.
Yeah. So did the opportunity arise for the LA's Crenshaw, that store, because the operator was fearful of operating in that area?
No. Another situation where, because he had been in the company for so long, and because he had networked and knew so many different people, a friend of his was in LA and said, you need to come here to LA. We got a better situation for you.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that's smart.
So that one grew to what, 3 in LA?
No. So that one grew to a second one in LA.
Okay.
Another in the neighborhood store, rough, but those two stores made some money.
How old were you then when the second
I was in high school.
You were in high school.
Yep. So 87, I was a sophomore in high school, and as soon as I turned 16, I went and got a job at the bank.
Well,
I was a teller.
I heard you say you used to have to schedule the robberies.
We scheduled the robberies. Yeah, they got robbed on a regular basis.
Wow.
It was one time I was home for the summer, and I told my dad I would work for him for the summer. And I got up late, 30 minutes late one day, and I was just like shuffling into work, and they had just been robbed. And I went in the store and was like, what happened? And what had happened is they had robbed the AutoZone next door. It was an auto parts store. And they were walking by, and our back door was open. It was like, well, shoot, we got the guns and masks on already. Wow. And they came in the back.
A charge is a charge. Let's go for it.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So at that point in high school, does your family get to come out of the store a little bit, or you still owner operator every day?
No. In high school, my mom was in one store, and my dad was in the other.
Oh, wow.
They were in their restaurants every day.
Did things start to change at home, far as like, you'd be able to see that like we got a little bit of money now, or was it just like we just own McDonald's?
No, the lifestyle definitely changed in LA, where it was comfortable. We were doing well.
Okay.
But my parents worked all the time.
They worked all the time.
They was always at work.
Couldn't even enjoy it.
It was always at work.
Yeah.
They was always getting it. And, you know, my dad and that's what they did.
Yeah.
You know, they got away from time to time. They set, you know, a team up they knew they could get away, but it was rare.
Or something.
It was rare though. It was rare.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha. So you leave after high school. You go to FAMU.
So at the time, they were killing African American males left and right in LA. Didn't matter what colors you was wearing. So my dad wanted me as far away from LA as possible. You know, I had a little girlfriend in high school. I was trying to go to, you know, SDSU or some of the little local colleges. He was like, nah. And I'll never forget, like, he drove me to LAX and literally almost threw me and my mom out the car and was like, you go to school and don't come back. Like, stay away from here. Cause I like literally in high school, my curfew was 10:30. I had to be home at 10:30.
Wow.
Yeah, and he didn't play that. And I had no blue, no red in my wardrobe. You know, it was just one of them situations in LA, late 80s, early 90s.
You had to be conscious about it.
Be very conscious.
Absolutely.
Very conscious. So
how was the HBCU experience for you?
it was.
Look at that smile.
So it's interesting. Well, it's interesting you asked me that because from kindergarten to from kindergarten to 10th grade, I was the only black kid or a number of few black kids in an all white school. I moved to LA and I was like the only white kid in an all black school. So I wasn't white, but everybody messed with me because of the way I talked and the way I acted. So going to FAM was just kind of like LA got me ready for FAM because I was at a predominantly black school in LA. Then I go to FAM and FAM was kind of, Florida A&M was kind of like the icing on the cake for me. It really kind of just helped me to come back around to appreciating who I was. You know, it wasn't about me appreciating blackness. I already appreciated that. But when you're in an all white environment, sometimes that pulls on who you are and it takes away from who you are. And so going to the school in LA and then going to Florida A&M, it just empowered me and gave me the strength that I needed as a black man to then come out of school and do the things that I've done to this point.
Gotcha.
So does your father ever have a conversation with you and be like, you see this franchise business? This is where it's at.
No.
Never.
No. My dad kind of had this mentality with me that I want you to go to school. I want you to get an education. And then I want you to do whatever it is you want to do. I want you to go do whatever it is you want to do because this over here is what I do. You ain't got to do this. And he never.
What did you study in FAMU?
Business administration. I started off in accounting and a couple of them accounting courses. I was like, if I make it, I'm gonna hire an accountant. I ain't trying to do this right here. So I looked at my curriculum one day and I was like, if I stay in accounting, I'll have a year and a half, 2 more years. If I go to business administration, I could be out in a semester. And I like my parents took care of everything. I didn't have to worry about anything in school. I ain't like that. I was getting to that age where I was like, I need to go take care of what I need to take care of. I did 3 internships in school as well. Okay. And those were very telling for me to help me understand where I wanted to go also.
And what was those internships in?
I did an intern with Arco Gas Company. I did an intern in LA. I did an intern with Beneficial Loan Company in Greensboro, North Carolina. And then I did an intern with Pfizer Pharmaceuticals in New York.
And Arco's big. Arco's like the main gas station out there.
So speaking of that, I want to talk about that real quick because when you left school, you actually had an offer, I think, at Pfizer to work there, right?
Yep.
Company car, all that different type of stuff. And this is a major turning point in your life right here, right?
Yeah. When I did the internship, I'll tell this piece also. When I did the internship, Pfizer was known for sending or accepting several of the black students from the HBCU. And so we would all go down there every semester. They put us up in a nice place in Manhattan. They put 5 of us in a 2 or 3 bedroom. We were comfortable. We had, our own, but they took care of our rent. We were getting paid good money for college students. But the problem was every day we were filing or doing something menial. So I did that for 2 weeks and I was like, I ain't come here for that. Like I I appreciate the opportunity, but this ain't what I'm here for. So I went to the lady that was kind of our liaison. I was like, I want to go back to school. She's like, what's wrong? Like, you know, and she kind of went through what I just went through. Like, what do you got this? You got that? I'm like, no, you guys got me filing.
Yeah.
I'm not here to file.
Right.
So she gave me somewhat of a promotion, put me with this director, and I got my own office and I started working on projects. Nice. And from that, I got a job offer. And they were going to pay me
in New York?
In Chicago, which was even better. Because I was front, they were going to pay me 70 grand, company car, laptop, you know, this is 90s. Like, I'm like, company car, laptop, 70 grand. I was going to live in Chicago where I was familiar. I had friends.
How old was you?
I was 21, 22.
Oh yeah, that's
22.
booming.
That's the life.
Yeah.
That's booming.
Let's go.
It's back, I said, like back in the 90s.
Yeah.
So I went to, go ahead.
I interviewed with Pfizer.
Okay.
I got that. Your mama love you, but we don't let her. So that was my experience with Pfizer.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I think I had a little in because I had impressed the directors, and it was all the directors. It was the boss. I worked for the boss of all the directors across the country.
So I'm assuming the students that stayed in the file room didn't get a job offer.
I don't know. I don't know what they
So
did.
it took something into you to be
Look,
like,
I can't do this.
I literally went and got my stuff out of the office. They were like, Adrian, where you going? I was like, I'm out here. I'll see y'all later.
But back then, man, that was the gig.
a gig.
Was it pharmaceutical
Yep.
sales?
Pharmaceutical sales.
That was the gig.
Yep.
Like, if you got a pharmaceutical sales
Yep.
job, I had friends like over at Wake, Merck.
Yeah.
It was crazy salaries, and the thing was the car.
Yeah.
They give you a car.
Yeah.
Like, but nobody.
Yeah, I
invited me
mean,
to come.
good money. You had a car you didn't have to worry about. Like I said, Chicago, I was familiar with the area. I knew what I was going to be doing up there. It sounded very good. That's why I went to my old man. I said, hey, this is what they offer me. What you got? And he's like, hey, I'll give you 18 grand. You can live at the top room at our house.
you can live
And
over
he's
the
like,
garage.
I guarantee you're going to work your ass off. He's like, you're going to work your ass off. He's like, I make you no other promises.
Wow.
So hold on.
That's
Let's
a hell
stop
of
right
an
there.
offer.
Hold
80
on.
to
Hell of an
18 or
offer.
So
something.
you got two things on the table. You got 70 grand. You got a company car, right? With Pfizer, and then you got 18 grand. The room over upstairs at the crib, right? And to work at McDonald's.
Yeah, and not to mention Chicago versus Greensboro, which I had never been to before. Because when I
back then,
graduated,
too.
when I graduated from FAM, I had never lived in Greensboro.
So all right. So what did you do?
So I thought about it. I thought long and hard about it.
I bet.
Because I thought long and hard about it. But the deciding factor for me was mainly them. Growing up, they always worked. There were times in high school when my mom and dad would come home from being at the restaurant all day and would go into their office. And then when I got up the next morning to go to school, they were still in the office paying bills. And I saw that. And then I go to college. I mean, I get a car bought for me, no car payment. I go to college, no student loans, everything's taken care of. But on the back of them doing all that they were doing while I'm at school kicking it and getting an education.
You felt like you had some debt to pay at that point.
I had a big debt to pay. Not only that though, Pfizer could come in at any time and tell me, you know what?
Snatch you up out of there.
We appreciate you, but hey, we're moving in a different direction.
Yeah.
And no matter where I was, I gave 110%. My thought was, why not give that to my family? Why not give that to my folks? Why not go back home, give them an opportunity to rest or have a day off or know that my son has got us, we can do this or we can do that. I thought about the bigger picture, but the bigger picture at that time for me was, let me take care of my folks.
Yeah. That's dope, man.
Did dad keep his promise? The 18,000.
Oh, he kept his
the room
promise.
over
Oh,
the-
he kept.
and you
He
worked
was.
your ass off.
That was not a threat.
Right.
That was
a
he was
promise.
serious about that. Yeah. I
So-
was making any money.
I got a question. So you choose to go help out the family, right?
Yep.
in your mind, like what's the plan or what's the play that you like, how long are you going to do this for? Or how long do you see yourself like just helping out the family with this 18,000 in room upstairs and shit?
I was committed. The first goal of mine when I got home was to get approved by McDonald's to be an owner operator.
Oh,
so that way.
So you had the plan.
So a switch came on then.
Yeah.
Did you see things that your family was doing that you might want to do? It changed, or you just was like, nah, I seen my family do it. I can do the same thing.
Well, the switch went on because had something happened to one or both of my parents to where they could not do what they were doing, if I'm not approved, McDonald's could take the restaurants away.
Got it.
Okay.
And so my first goal
Was to get approved.
was to get approved.
Got you.
At that age, it was like, get this done, get over this hurdle so that no matter what happens, they can't
Stay in
take
the
this
family.
away from us.
I mean, what was
So
that like?
smart you are,
The
huh?
approval process.
Yeah, I want to know too.
What was that? What was
So
that like?
it's rigorous, and it's even more rigorous for me than it was for someone coming off the street with some money, because they wanted to make sure that I wasn't just handed something. They wanted to make sure it wasn't just a nepotism situation where father hands down or mother hands down the store to their son and they can't handle it. So there were a lot of hoops that we had to jump through. There was a lot of check marks, and then at the
You had to check all the
time,
boxes.
yeah, it was a lot of boxes to check. And then at the time, there were a lot of people filtering through the company side of this area. So every time someone different came through, they had different things they wanted me to do. So Max gets promoted. Max says, well, Adrian, I want you to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I get to 4, then Lynch gets promoted. And Lynch is like, well, I don't know what Max asked you to do.
But you got to do 7, 8,
You got 5. You got 5 more things to do.
Yeah.
And then next thing, Rod pops up.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I don't care what Rod nor Max asked you to do. I got my list of things to do.
Yeah.
So when the next guy came through, I was like, look, I ain't doing no more. I got to go to work. No matter what, I got a shift to cover today.
Yeah.
So it just got to a point, but finally someone came along. They saw and recognized that I was prepared and ready, and they approved me. I got approved in 2000.
So 2000, that's 20.
So y'all had 3. You got approved, and did that give you the 4th one, or
Nope.
did that give you?
That
No,
just
didn't give
gave
me
you the
anything.
right.
Approved.
Didn't give me anything. It just gave me
Yeah.
the right to either purchase or just run those
Run the
stores.
3
That
if something happened.
And see, at that time, that was the ideal. The ideal was my dad would sell me a restaurant,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
I would pick up one of his restaurants, and it was just not, it wasn't thought that you would, because at the time, 10 restaurants was a lot of stores.
Yeah. So you got approved, right? You got approved, and you still getting 18,000, or you got a little raise?
No, I ain't got a little
a little
raise.
raise.
But
I
hold
got
on,
a
wait,
little
because
raise.
we skipped a little part of the story. I'm curious now. From LA to you graduating to Greensboro, is that 2, 3 stores, or your dad has networked and got more stores now?
So they wanted to be back on the East Coast because both of them are from here. They had
I didn't
aging
know.
parents that were getting older. Getting across the country, that's an ordeal from a connecting flights and all that stuff. So they wanted to be closer back to this area. So they sold the 2 stores in LA, sold their home in LA, moved back here in 93. I didn't graduate until
same
95.
year I got here.
Yeah. And I didn't
So
graduate until 95.
they sold the stores in LA.
Yes.
Came here and got 1.
And bought 2.
Bought 2.
Yep. They
All
bought
right.
2 restaurants
So
here.
now they're in Greensboro with 2. You graduating from FAMU.
The-
so you got
years
The month I graduated from FAM,
Okay.
they picked up the 3rd restaurant. So when I got home, I started working in the store that they had just opened up.
All right, so when you seen these 3, the switch kind of flipped a little bit because you was in limbo with what you had going on, and
Yeah, so when I committed to doing it, I committed to doing it. It wasn't like I'm only going to do this for a certain amount of time.
Right,
I was like, this
You
is what I'm
flipped that
doing.
switch. Yeah, you
Yeah,
flipped it.
I went in and but immediately I started thinking on a different level. So I immediately started thinking on an ownership level. It's so funny because some of the managers were throwing shade when I would come in the restaurant and be like, shh, here comes Adrian, y'all be quiet. Adrian come and take our job. And I was like, nah, bro, I don't want your job.
Yeah.
Your job is secure, bro. You good.
Coming to make sure I'm still
Yeah,
hired.
you know what?
good.
We can't breeze past that though, because we actually talked about when we talked about those commandments, or those thou shall prosper, we actually talked about how you have to develop a sense of ownership in whatever it is you're doing or whatever level you're at. So when we talk about these commandments or we talk about these principles that you got to have to be wealthy, here is someone who owns 50 McDonald's and he's telling you that before he even owned one, he had a sense of ownership. So y'all better jot that down because the next time you hear it, it's going to be in our book.
But not only that, he had to make that commitment. He had to make
Absolutely.
that mental commitment, right? And then there was this sacrifice. There was this trade.
Absolutely.
There was instant gratification of car, back home with my homies, 70 racks at 21 years old. You might, at this day, that's 120.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's 120 racks with a car living in Chicago. You balling.
Yeah.
Who knows where you be at right now?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the idea is,
I wouldn't be where I'm at.
He'd be looking for another
I
sales
know
job.
that much.
wouldn't be where
So
I'm at.
it's like, all right, come on, I'm gonna make this sacrifice because the other side of my brain clicked, and I got to create this. I got to go help mom and dad, but then I'm gonna turn this up. I'm gonna get me some stores too one day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So he didn't just make a commitment to, his parents or just to McDonald's. He actually made a commitment to himself. And when you make a commitment to yourself, some people don't understand that is probably the highest commitment that you can actually make because you are literally just think about how you make a commitment to a car or a house or a bank loan or whatever, right? Yeah. It comes with these stipulations and all this other different type of stuff, right? Just things that you got to do, right? And you actually make an honest effort every month or whenever you got to pay to actually get it done because you know that it's going to be taken away from you.
Yeah.
But most of the times when we make a commitment to ourselves, we're the first one to get shortchanged in that whole laundry list of things that we have that we've been committed to. He made a real commitment, understanding that this right here, he was pledging his integrity to make an honest effort to the thing that he told himself would fulfill him. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
I just wanted to expound on that real quick, but we can go back to the home.
And to that point, man, I think he had an incredible example because what I haven't heard anything about in that story from 11 up until 22, number one, mom and dad, they weren't afraid to move. They were going, we're going to make this happen. They weren't afraid to move.
That's right.
And there wasn't a plan B.
No.
Along the way, okay, Houston is about to, it's not successful. We're losing money or it's not profitable. Okay, that doesn't mean we're gonna go get jobs or, we're gonna, okay, well, what's next? Then we're gonna go to LA and we're gonna go in the heart of South Central.
Opportunity presented itself and they jumped.
Absolutely.
They weren't concrete footed into anything.
With no plan B. Not,
there was no plan B.
This is it.
That's right.
Until now, until Greensboro.
That's right.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
So that's year 2000, you get approved. You become an operator. What are you learning at this point about the McDonald's franchise as you seen your father do it, you seen your mother do it? What are you learning about the McDonald franchise as you look at it through a different lens now?
Well, so we attend meetings and we interact with other McDonald owner operators. We interact with the company, and you just learn that it's so much more than just selling hamburgers and French fries. You learn that it's about relationships with your peers. It's about relationships with the company. It's just so much more to it than what everybody sees from a across the counter transactional situation. It's such a big. The company is huge and it reaches out in so many different directions. And so what I did is I immersed myself in that environment of getting to know my peers, talking to and getting to know the company folks. I also made myself accessible to being on different committees and more national exposure and getting involved. And so that when people heard my name, they understood, oh, Adrian, oh, okay, Adrian's okay. So I wanted it to resonate, not Adrian Smitty's son, Adrian Smith.
Yeah.
Oh, happens to be Smitty's son. Yeah. I kind of wanted to make my own name because everybody knew my dad. My dad had made a name for himself because he had been with the company for so long. I wanted to make my own name, still not trying to outshine anyone, but wanting to be identified as my own business person. Yeah.
Be like, yeah, that's Smitty's son, but that boy good. That boy good.
Yeah.
So at what point did you get your own store?
So I got my own store in 2004.
2000. So
2004.
2 years later after you became an operator.
4 years later.
4
years later.
2000. Yeah, 2000.
4 years later. So at the time, I had gotten to the point where I was running my dad's 3 restaurants.
Okay.
And actually, he had gotten up to 4. So I ran all 4 of his restaurants for him. But the year that I picked up my first
What
restaurant,
was your salary at that point, running 4 restaurants?
I think I was getting paid like 50 grand.
Oh, 50 grand. Mm-hmm. How'd you manage to pick up your own restaurant on a 50 grand salary?
So what happened was, again, the year I bought my first store, my dad sold a store. So he was down to 3 and I was buying my first, and I borrowed a couple $100,000 from him.
Okay.
Yep. I borrowed $200,000 from him.
That made you qualify, right? That made you like, because you had to have a certain liquid at that point.
I had to have certain liquid, and then I used some of the equity that he had in his current restaurants.
Okay. So your sweat equity is what probably allowed your pop to give you 200,000.
Oh, definitely, because that's the other thing that I want to make sure I mentioned, that our relationship working together changed when I came home and
I
started
was about to
working
ask
for
about
him.
that, because
Yeah.
now he was the enforcer when you were younger,
Right.
Yeah.
And now you having to go probably asking questions. Yo, pops, how you do this?
Yeah, no, the relationship definitely changed when I came back
Yeah.
to start working for him. So yeah, when he got to the point where he loaned me that money, he knew what I was about.
What you was going to do.
Yeah, he knew what I was about. And
I just didn't want to breeze over that, because
Yeah.
a lot of people right now could be in that $50,000 job or something right now,
Right.
and may not realize that the things that they do every day could be building up value with someone,
Absolutely.
or could be sweat equity that actually gets them the opportunity to
Absolutely.
be springboarded into another, opportunity.
Absolutely. I mean, life is all about opportunities, being in the right place at the right time with the right vision and the mindset. You got to prepare yourself. If you're not prepared or you're not ready when it comes, then it may not ever come again. So
Absolutely.
you definitely have to be prepared. But so our relationship was better. He loaned me the money. I picked up my first store in a small town, and he did not help me at all. Other than that couple $100,000, he did not help me at all. Matter of fact, it was probably a year after I had taken over that store before he even came out there.
Yeah.
So you want to see if he was real, I guess, right?
Well,
I was going to ask you about it. Go ahead.
eventually I asked him about it. I said, "Well, I'm surprised you didn't help me at all." And he was like, "You had it."
Yeah.
He's like, "And now you know how to do it." Because it's business
Well, I mean,
licenses
you're running
and setting
4
up payroll.
stores.
And
You're running 4 stores. I mean,
whoa.
Go ahead.
There's a whole nother side of running a McDonald's than it is running a McDonald's.
Okay.
When I had to go get my business license, I had to set up my payroll company. I had to set up my accountant. I had to set up, there was a whole nother side that it took me almost a month and a half just to get set up before I turned over a transition. Then you go in, you have to do inventory. You have to get your staffing together. Like, I walked into the situation that I was running.
So you walked into inventory, walked into staff, and you walked into an EIN and stuff.
When I came home from school, I walked into an environment that had been set up.
Already built.
When I went and bought my first store, I ain't walk in and I had to set a lot of that stuff up.
So you're not Steve Kerr taking over Mark Jackson's situation.
No.
And then win all the rings.
No.
And then,
No.
I was just
Yeah. And then, it's one thing to be running your parents' restaurant. It's another thing when your name is on that store.
absolutely.
And now it's your bills being paid. It's your money coming through on you.
Yeah.
And so, I paid a lot for the store. So I didn't take a salary out of that restaurant because I was still being paid out of my dad's environment. I didn't take a salary out of that restaurant for probably 6 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, oh man, good part. One more time. I just need to say it one more time. Just say it again. Same thing.
I didn't take a salary out of that store for probably 5 to 6 years.
All right, the reason why I'm highlighting some of these things is because a lot of people watching are mesmerized by 50. They're like, this man owns 50. Let's find out what's going on, this, that, and third. And this shit is a little entertaining for them. Mm-hmm. But they're missing the 10 toes down, right? Mm-hmm. They're missing the blood, sweat, and tears.
That's never televised.
Never televised. They did 50s and all that other stuff.
But you know what they probably highlighting? Mm-hmm. Yeah, my dad has some stores. He loaned me $200. And I had to go. they think that's like I could just see it. You know what I'm saying? Just from the small things that I go through, it's like, yo, it's not that easy. Even with the 200, you're gonna fumble the bag.
It's not
Absolutely.
that easy.
Like, don't think it's a great blessing that your family did some sacrifices and you worked in stores and he was able to trust you and even have the opportunity to give you 200, but that's not what made you.
But the words you just used, trust. I mean, you had to, that equity, that freaking,
that's what
you know what I'm saying? That value.
That value. Yeah.
Just imagine, like, some people think, and I want you to speak on this point right here. Some people think that they're entitled to just be handed the baton.
Entitlement.
Dude, you built value from 11 years old with your father. Right. So, your father.
And every decision after that.
Absolutely. So he didn't blink loaning you $200,000 because he understood what you brought to the table. And I know something that was important to you, because his dad is a legend, everybody. I don't know which camera, but his dad is a legend. Smitty is a legend. Like, you can go in Greensboro and you can go in any black barbershop, because I've done it, and said, hey, do you know Smitty? You know who Smitty is? My daughter in high school asked me if I knew who Smitty was. And I was like, nah, I don't know who Smitty is. Oh, he's a black guy that owns the McDonald's that I work in. Like, she's fascinated. Yeah. Nobody, he's like a ghost. Nobody's seen Smitty. Everybody knows Smitty.
Yeah.
So how important was it for you to not separate yourself from your father, but go, like you said, and make your own name and dispel the myth that you were just handed a baton and you were handed, 20 McDonald's that ultimately grew to 50 McDonald's?
Right. Well, I used to tell folks all the time that if my father has 3 McDonald's and I come home, I start working with him, and then at the end of my career, I have 3 McDonald's, I've done nothing.
Correct.
I've done zero.
Facts. Yeah.
If anything, I've been given a head start. So I've been passed the baton 50 yards out. I've literally not even run. I just got handed the baton and I stopped. So it was very important to me to grow the business even more and exponentially more than he had, because I had been given that head start.
In a short amount of time.
In a short amount of time, absolutely. And so early on, I started looking at the business like a corporate CEO. And I stopped looking at it as a small mom and pop type business. In my mind, I start saying, if I get more restaurants, then I can have more resources to hire more people to make this thing even bigger than what it is today. The reason why we'll go back real quick. There's the reason why it took me 5 or 6 years before I drew a salary is because it was important for me to pay my dad back first. Absolutely. I didn't want to draw no salary until I had that debt off my, I wanted him to get paid back first. That's good.
So this is
your
the juicy point.
So to your point, I don't like for people to think that I was given anything. I don't like that.
I know you don't.
It bothers me
because it's a lot of work.
It is, and my father would tell, because my dad is. The other reason I don't like it is because my dad don't believe in that. He don't believe in that. The reason why he loaned me that money is because he seen me work 14 days straight, 14 hours a day. He seen me open for 14 days in a row and then close. Flip it with another manager because we only had 2. Right. He saw the dedication. He saw the no stop and no quit in me. And so he knew that he was just investing in me, and that I was going to take care of it. Yep. He had no doubt in his mind.
It could have been you or a manager that did the same thing you did. He probably would have did it the same way.
100%.
Yeah. You just happened to be his son.
Pretty much.
It probably was harder on you.
Of course.
Yeah. 100%.
So this is where it gets juicy for me. You look at the stores and you say, all right, I got here, my family got us here, I gotta turn this up. And you start to look at this like the CEO of corporation of all these stores, and you say, I need to flip this. This is where it gets juicy for me. So you I guess you were analyzing how you can get more stores. Because when I met you in 2000 and when did we start the mastermind?
Maybe 18, 19.
Was it 19?
19. It was 19.
Yeah. So when I met you in 2019, how many stores did you have?
19.
19. Yeah. Right? That ain't that long ago.
That's not that long
When
ago.
I seen you the other day, you said, yeah, man, I'm trying to get 50 by 50. I'll holler at you. I ain't had time to talk. Yeah. I was like, I love it. Keep going.
Yeah.
So how does one take from 19 stores to 50? You have to figure out that, because there's other operators that don't grow that fast. What did you see that you were like, I can do this and I can do it well?
Yeah. So I've always been about the people that work for me. I've always been about that. I've always been about recognizing the talent and nurturing it, and then giving them the opportunity to do what they do. I'm not a big micromanager. I deal with leaders. I deal with folks that want to go get it.
Can't stand it.
I deal with folks that want to go get it. I talk to them every day. I nurture them. I give them the resources to do what they do, and then I let them do what they do. And so from an early phase, I remember my mom asked me, she's like, how many stores you want? I said, I want 10. My mom looked at me like I was crazy. She was like, I don't know how you do that, son. You know, you see me in the way me and your father work. I was like, yeah, Mom. I said, but I'm gonna do it differently. I said, I'm gonna do it differently. I said, we're gonna get some different folks in here to do it, let them do it, and we're gonna grow this thing. So that was then. I was trying to get to 10. But at that time,
you had one?
That was when I had
one and they had
that's
three.
when I had one and they had 3, we had 4.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, 10 was a lot of restaurants.
Absolutely.
That was a lot of stores. Well, I got to 10. When I got to 10, I was like,
oh, when you got to 10, I met you.
That's right.
When I met you, you had 10.
I had 10.
In 2012.
That's right. Well, I actually picked up to 10 stores in 2011. So yes, the next year.
Yeah.
When I got to 10, I was 30 some years old. I was like, okay, we ain't done.
Yeah. Right.
And we gotta get some more. We gotta build this thing even more. So what I started doing though is I started mapping and looking around and saying, okay, who's an operator ain't got no kids? Where other sections can we go to? What are other places
I know there had to be strategy behind the growth.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Like I would go into meetings and talk to folks. I started talking to an operator 6 years before he sold me his restaurants.
So let me break this down real quick before you move forward. Most of the time, in order to get a new store, you got to buy somebody else's store, because they don't just build new stores that often.
Absolutely.
So they get traded.
Right.
So this is a relationship game.
Absolutely.
And in order to be traded in the store, you got to have qualifications as far as
you gotta be good.
You got to be good.
You gotta be good.
So does the trade have to be approved?
Oh yeah. By
So we
McDonald's.
talking NFL right now.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So you got to, not only do you got to have a relationship with the owner operator over here, you got to make sure, because now you hit 10 stores and McDonald's looking like, we probably need to slow him down. But then they look at the numbers.
That's exactly right.
And they said, no. Give him 2 more. Let him get 2 more.
Again, because of my people, because of the folks that I had on my roster, on my team, when we went from 4 to 10, we more than doubled the organization. We didn't miss a beat.
So let me go ahead.
No,
I'm just
is that
excited,
your,
bro.
Is that your superpower? Like picking talent, would you say? Because I'm decent at it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I would much rather be like, Adrian, here's this bag, get my talent for me. Now I can lead them once they're here, but I don't think I'm that good at it. I'm better, much better, but I don't think
I don't know. That's a great question. What I will say is there's an art to not only recognizing it, but you got to keep it. And I think I do pretty good at both. Not only do I recognize it, but I think I do a really good job of showing appreciation, showing them that I value them.
Yeah, because you've paid your staff's rent and stuff. They had financial issues.
I've done all kinds of things. I've done all kinds of things for the folks that go get it with me. Yeah, there's nothing I wouldn't do for them.
Gotcha. I think we should talk about that. Because you said recognizing, right? And then you said, once you said recognizing, you said keeping people showing that show value and stuff like that. Yeah. So when I met you in 2012, probably took me a little while before I told you that I was like fresh home, that I just came home from prison.
Yeah.
And I wasn't training you at that time.
Nope.
And you used to work out with somebody else. That's totally different. That's right. And I was trying to build brand name and face recognition. So I used to just see Adrian in there and say, yo, what body parts you working today? And he might say triceps or something. I'll be like, yo, man, try this exercise, man. It's pretty dope. And I I think we formed a relationship just from, just kicking it and, building value, giving you some things to do that was a little different than the guy you were working with. Wasn't trying to steal you as a client or anything like that. Matter of fact, I think you hired me for your ex-wife, which was your wife at the time. And I even started training your son, Andrew. And he was playing football for Northwestern.
No, she was my ex when she was working out with you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She was just buying her 100 sessions at a time and stuff.
It's all part of the
health
agreement.
and wealth.
It's all part of the agreement. It's part of the agreement.
That's dope. I just want to give a little backstory real quick. I quickly, about a year into that that place where I was working, I left there and I started my own thing in my garage. And Adrian decided to come work out with me in my garage. So the 100 sessions he was buying at the Rush, he was now buying them from me personally at the then his ex-wife was still getting her 100 sessions with me as well. I look back in hindsight because that wasn't the only thing that you did for me, right? But I want to stop right there and pause for 1 second. What I know you have a good or great eye for talent and leadership and all that stuff, right? So it kind of explains why I want to say walked away from saunas and showers and things like that to go train in my little 2-car garage and stuff like that. I think that's something to be commended, right? But I then went on like 6 months later and jumped out there and I got this building, right? And nobody knows this, right? My wife gave me money from my IRA to help get started. I had about 2-3 credit cards that I maxed out and everything. And we had this date of April that we wanted to open up, right? And I was going to all the banks and I was trying to get this credit and all this stuff and they wouldn't give me nothing, right? The homie gave me his card and was like, yo, I believe in you and Wendy. Yo, get whatever you need.
That's crazy.
That right there was, let me tell you something. I think up until that point, nobody has ever done nothing for me in my life. So if I ain't never gave you flowers, I'm going to give you flowers right now.
Oh man, where's the onions?
I believe that. But like paying it forward is something that you do often these days. But I think you saw something in me and just the man that I was, because we didn't, in the beginning, you didn't know a lot about what was going on. Of course we opened up and I talked to you and I told you about what was going on. And by that point I had built up so much value in you, it kind of didn't matter, what I mean, at that point, or it made you even respect me even more or what I was doing and things like that. I just want people to know and understand how important it is, one, to everything that you did, to that point, because we still at 10, we had 10 McDonald's, right? But then to just still use your superpowers, because you asked him, was that your superpower? And I'm listening to that and I'm just like, yo, he used the superpower to invest in me or to sow seeds in me. And you know what I mean? It was like, oh man, this shit is like really super. I was just listening, but I had to reflect on that real quick. But y'all can pick back up at 10. I really just had to jump in.
Well, you brought it up. So you just made an impact on me. At that time, I had just gotten divorced. I was growing my business. I was trying to also invest in my health, take care of myself, because me and my buddy, he was a McDonald's operator too. We both started saying, none of all of this means anything if you're not healthy. And so I started just invest. But when I would work out with you, you were pouring so much information and so much we were talking about it earlier. I had not been around too many folks like that. And I was just like, damn, so that's why I came to your garage. It wasn't about the showers and all that stuff. I care less about that. I felt fed and fulfilled after working out with you, not only physically, but mentally.
Absolutely.
And you had an impact on me at a pivotal time in my life. So when you came to me, it wasn't really even a second thought, because I believed in you because of that time that we had spent with each other. So it's funny you bring that up, but I knew you were going to be successful.
Yeah, man,
but that's crazy to be able to be like, and that's why you always should just do the right thing.
100%.
You just always do the right
whether
thing.
whether people are looking or not.
Because you thought, obviously you have a special way of coaching and doing the gym, and that's why I drive the green. I drive 36 minutes for a 22-minute workout. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 24 today.
Yeah, back and forth. I drive an hour and 12 minutes to work out 21 minutes or 24 minutes today.
Right.
But the point is after that beating that I take in the morning from the workout, you fill me back up with the message that you have for me that allows me to march on through the day and become, the best leader I can when I leave there, right? First thing I wake up, I get my ass kicked by you, and then you say, yo, here's what you need to be doing. Here's how you be. And so I could imagine at that moment in your life where things were changing for you, how it was God sent to be able to have somebody like that to be able to. Because you still a man, you still the man at that point.
Right.
But you're coming to this garage to get poured into, and it's like a secret therapy session that
100%.
ain't nobody understanding that, I'm getting therapy in this man's garage.
Yo, you know what was dope about that though, A? It was like a little bit after that, I was reading this book and I can't really remember what it was, but the information that came through the book was I needed to get like you should try to get a millionaire mentor, a mentor who's a millionaire if you want to be a millionaire. And I called A up and I was like, yo, don't trip. I was reading this book and it said, I need a millionaire mentor. So I'm asking you, can you be my mentor, right? So A was like, he was like, man, much shit as you give me on a daily basis. He was like, you my damn mentor. He said, so we just gonna be each other's mentor. And when we meet up for lunch or whatever date that you set for our meeting, man, we just gonna mentor each other. Right. I was like, man, this is the coolest shit in the world right now. Right.
So
but
dope.
that has to be, I know I'm talking like crazy, but that relationship, whether it's a millionaire or not, I keep talking about the intentional, on purpose relationships to have with fellowship with another dude, because y'all fellowship at lunch and talked about things that was going on in your life outside of that, but y'all held each other accountable and you were able to pour in each other. And I think as Black men, we go through life not consoling with anybody, and we're always like we always taking on, we always putting the weight of the world on our shoulders. Sometimes you gotta sit down. You gotta have a conversation with somebody that you can articulate.
You can be vulnerable. You can actually be vulnerable.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we in rooms where we can't let nobody see that, you know what I mean? We got the slightest bit of weakness because that's where they come and try to take advantage.
Or at least we feel like we can't let anyone see, our weaknesses. But you're right.
I got a little tear right here too. I just want to let y'all know.
I thought that was sweat. I thought that was sweat. I didn't want to say that. I thought it was sweat.
No, it's some real shit.
But you're right, man. Like we have to be around people but the biggest thing about like the mastermind group, it's like, for me, it's like it's a safe place, right? I mean, we share some things in that group that's like I wouldn't share anywhere else.
That's right.
And it was just a safe place, and I think that's what you felt the day that you were there. Like, whoa, I ain't used to this, so I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna hang out, and I'm just gonna be here.
Absolutely.
Getting back to the 10 when you jumped out there and you got to 10, right? And so at that time, were you highly leveraged, or were you, in a good spot, equity wise? And the reason I asked that is because of the risk associated with, you were kind of out there in the deep relative to the 10.
Yeah.
So what was that like in terms of?
So remember, the 10 was actually my 7,
right,
and my dad's 3.
Right.
The 6 I picked up in 2011. The one I already had was almost or halfway paid off.
Okay.
So when I picked up the 6, that was the main leverage there. It was just those 6. Yeah, I was highly leveraged, but I picked up some restaurants. We immediately took them and we improved upon them. They were making good money. And in my mind, I had 10 restaurants. Run the restaurants well, and other things would come. Yes, I was being strategic in what I was looking at, but at that time, my biggest focus was run these restaurants, get the most out of them, take care of your people, and get ready for when the next opportunities that may present themselves.
Gotcha. So it was buying. You bought some decent houses on the block.
I bought some great houses on the block.
I bought great houses on the block, but you still fixed them up.
Oh, hell,
yeah.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, when you walk into, like, McDonald's is like, it's laid out. There's a blueprint.
Yeah.
Right?
First, it's a bunch of systems, right?
Everybody has a different ideology on how they run their restaurants.
So how do you improve that? What do you go in and improve?
So when I'm looking at buying restaurants, say you have restaurants and I'm wanting to buy your restaurants, you want to sell me your restaurants, you send me your P&Ls. I look at the profit and loss statement, and you may think it's okay to run 25% labor. I know that I run 22s. That's 3% for me. You may think it's okay to run a 25% food cost or 27% food cost. I say it's a 25, that's another 2%. So right now I've got 5% on the controllables that I'm gonna do differently or I'm gonna run differently. That's not to mention all the other line items on that thing that I look at and the numbers just pop off the page. So the previous guy that I bought the restaurants from, and when I bought the 6, he was spending an exorbitant amount of money on landscaping. He just wanted to have a lot of, that was his thing.
Wow.
That was his thing. Well, that was an immediate raise for me. I kept the landscaping good. It looked nice, but I wasn't spending almost $5,000 a month on it. So you know how these things go. So it's a matter of, and in any business, it's a matter of the next person looking at it from their vantage point and doing that. Now, somebody might look at the numbers I run and come in and might decide, well, I don't need this person, or I don't need that, and I don't need this, and they may make the adjustments.
But don't you guys have to go through like the McDonald's school, and you're taught the systems, and you're taught what to look for in the P&L, and you're taught about labor and waste and all of those things.
But again, the guy I bought the stores from, he didn't have debt on the restaurants because he had already paid it off. So he had a different vantage point than I did when I came in, and I'm highly leveraged. The things he was buying and paying for, I wouldn't try. Yeah, I was not trying to buy and pay for that until maybe later on. So everyone looks at the business differently based on where they're at.
Right. So who bought that pencil? I know about waste and labor now. I was a breakfast manager one time. I used to have to fill out that little form. Everybody should have to have worked at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Everybody.
So
on earth.
How common is it for a franchisee to own 50 McDonald's, and how common is it for a black man to own 50 McDonald's?
Not very common.
On either one of them?
I am the second highest black McDonald operator in the country.
Let's do that again for a soundbite.
One more time.
Sorry, I don't know if y'all try to catch a soundbite. Let's run it back.
I'm the second highest black McDonald owner operator in the country.
Let me go from the top again. How common is it for somebody to own 50 McDonald's? And how common is it for a black man to own?
It's not common. There's not, I would probably say I'm easily in the top 10 in terms of number of restaurants in the country.
So my question to you, as being one
black or all?
All. What you think this is?
I mean, listen,
I ain't no black entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur.
That was my next question.
I
need that oop, because when I be saying that shit,
nah, not over here. Not over here.
Not you.
Oh.
I'm just saying, when I say it, people look at me
crazy. My man strived out to be the best, not the black best.
That's what I'm talking about. So I want to, I just need that to come from, other sources, because when I say it, it's just a dude talking crazy, like I'm Kanye wearing a shirt that they trying to cancel him for right now.
They can't cancel Kanye.
Like, I don't want to be black. So Kanye been rocking his White Lives Matter or something, you know what I mean? And when I say, I ain't no black business. They look like me like I'm trying to.
You ain't got the answers, Lynch. You ain't got the answers, Lynch.
That's what I'm doing. But my man got the answer. But my man got it.
What is the number one thing you learned as a franchisee out of McDonald's? If you just had to sum it up, be like, yo, this is the number one thing I've learned so far.
It's a business. It's a business. It's a business. It's all business. McDonald's is McDonald's has been good to me and my family. And it's been a great company to work with and be associated with. I believe in the brand. I believe in what we sell. If I didn't, I wouldn't do it. Folks always come to me about what we sell, the food that we sell, the quality of it. And they're like, well, isn't it this? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. It is all that stuff is good stuff. And my kids eat it. I believe in it. Folks were like, well, doesn't it cause obesity? Well, if you only eat that and you don't do nothing else, you don't work out, you don't do nothing else, then sure. But
man, you read me the riot one day about how good McDonald's French fries are compared to anybody else's French fries.
I attest.
Let me tell
When
you
I used to
something.
drink soda, McDonald's and a fresh Sprite, I don't know what y'all do to that Sprite. You might have to tell me.
It's
all
calibrated.
different.
It's calibrated in bricks and
Sprite different than everybody else Sprite.
yeah. So let me just, I believe in the brand, but it is a business. And so I understand that and I don't play with that. I go in and I get it and I make sure that we run top-notch restaurants. I do not run any bad restaurants. Everything, there's no restaurant that's going to ever be perfect, but we strive for perfection every single day.
Excellence.
And those stores have my name on the wall. That's right. And I take that very serious. And so, and also, McDonald's does not let a bad operator get to 50 restaurants.
Exactly. That's what I'm
They
saying.
do not let a bad operator get to 50 restaurants.
Because let me know if I understand this. McDonald's, all right, first of all, I hate Instagram quotes. Right? And so let me hear me. When we dropped when we talked about Mr. Beast opening up his restaurant and selling 10,000, right? Yeah. Somebody says, well, McDonald's, I said, here's what I said. I said, could a brand like Mr. Beast grow to be as big or bigger than McDonald's in the future? Open question, right? Somebody says, McDonald's ain't even in the burger business. Right. I get everybody seen the real estate. McDonald's sells burgers, B. Right. Yeah. They sell burgers. You sell burgers. McDonald's. So tell me the structure of the McDonald's Corporation. Like, from my understanding, they lease you guys the building. Let me shut up, because go ahead. That's what I like to hear.
Well, McDonald's, no owner operator of or franchisee can own the land that their restaurants sit on.
Got it.
But from a business standpoint, it's somewhat genius, because if for some reason McDonald's decides to sever the relationship with me and I don't like it, then they literally have to leave. So they want to make sure that that restaurant that they put in, because they choose where these restaurants go. I don't make that choice.
Of course.
And if I own the land that they decide they want to put that restaurant on, I have to sell it to them before I can buy it or buy that restaurant. So they're a real estate company. McDonald's is a real estate company. If you look where most McDonald's are located, they're on prime real estate
spots.
Now, if they own the land, I pay them a royalty or rent for that land, as well as for the brand, the name, the arches, and all that other stuff. If they don't own the land, they pay the person that does. So if you own that land, they pay you, and then I pay McDonald's. And so every time you go up, McDonald's goes up. So it's a relationship.
So they do have restaurants on land they don't own.
Yeah, a lot.
Of course.
Oh yeah,
of course.
A lot of places they
have.
It's
it's based on the market as well, right? So the rents are higher and
exactly. It's based on where the stores are.
So is it rents or percentage of business?
Okay, we call it rent, but that's our terminology for the percentage of sales. So McDonald's gets a percentage of our sales.
So they only want good operators, because you're gonna be giving them, if you're not good, you're gonna be giving them less money.
Exactly.
Right. So to that point that Max.
Well, not only that, but you're if all four of us are owner operators and you don't run your stores well, the majority of the people don't know that all four of us are operators. They think it's all McDonald's.
Correct.
So if you're not running your stores well, McDonald's ain't good.
It's the bad name.
McDonald's isn't good.
Yep.
Versus Max ain't. Nobody's saying Max's McDonald's is running. They're saying McDonald's is not good.
Gotcha.
So when they are strict about the brand, it's to protect all of us, and we want that. If I want that, because at the end of the day, one day I might get ready to sell this. If they don't protect the brand, I won't have something to sell one day.
Right.
So
to won't be worth much. Right.
To Max's point about Mr. Beast and the burgers, and people were saying, "Oh, McDonald's, they don't sell hamburgers." So like Volvo, they sell safety, right? Disney, they sell happy. What does McDonald's really sell?
We sell community, we sell brand, we sell quality, we sell convenience, we sell value. We want to look at where most McDonald's are located. They're located in the community where you go into that restaurant and there's people sitting at tables. They come in there all the time. I meet customers all the time. They literally come to my restaurant every day.
March 2020, they didn't do that though.
No, they didn't.
So what happened?
Well, they didn't, but we were an essential brand, and we became the place where people could come and get something to eat. Our drive-thrus
were bonkers.
Were bonkers. Well, before the pandemic, we were 75% drive-through. When the pandemic first hit, A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that. We were 75% before the pandemic. When the pandemic hit, we went up to 90%, and our delivery was 8%. Or it was a large percent. And we got our delivery right before the pandemic hit, and that was essential to our success as well.
What did the 90% and the 8% delivery do to your margins?
It actually helped our margins because inside of most of our restaurants, we had these self-serve drink systems. And we had condiments and stuff out there. So when we closed our lobbies, we started realizing we were saving a ton of money.
Gotcha.
Just on consumer waste. Picking up the 17 napkins, knowing you only gonna use 2 and you got 30 in your glove box already. I know what you be doing, Rod.
Can I get 10 more? I know. Can I get 10 more ketchup?
I mean, all of us.
Ketchup drawer in the house.
I go in all y'all's house right now, and there's a drawer.
I got a ketchup drawer.
There's a drawer.
It was about a week ago. We hired this lady to organize our kitchen and the pantry, so she threw that out. So if you'd have called me a week ago, I would have been red-handed. Right now, I'm not and I'm on a diet too. So. Increase profitability, start saving money. Did you ever say, man, we should just keep it this way, just do drive through and not open the lobby back up?
No, I mean there was a thought, there was a thought process in that, especially while the pandemic was still up and down. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of folks that drive vehicles that they can't go through the drive-through. There's a lot of folks that want to walk across the street and come in and get something to eat that may not have a car to go through your drive-through. We had to get our lobbies back open. We are a community environment. We've got to get our lobbies back open.
You got old people that come there and politic.
Because if they just got a drive-through, they cook out.
They just come there like 6 a.m. and get coffee, just drink coffee. And they're there with their boys out there.
But you know what?
Right.
We're here for them though.
Yeah,
we're there for them though. So it was important for us to get our lobbies back open.
I got a question.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I got a question. I just wanted to know I want to know the difference between running 4 and running 50. I just want to know how that is on you.
Great question.
So when I was running 4, I was the director of operations and the supervisor because I couldn't afford any of those. Each store has a general manager. And then I was overseeing those 4 general managers. They reported up to me. At 50, I have a director of operations. He has 4 ops managers that report to him. There's 13 managers that report to those ops managers, and each store has a general manager.
Man, so it's 3 layers of cushion between you and a messed up situation.
Where
I manage one person.
Where your stores at now, predominantly?
So in the Charlotte area, there's 26. In Burlington, there's 6. Greensboro, there is 9. Southwest Virginia, there is 9.
Every time you say the number, you act like you got shot.
Yeah, because my man's like, I know I done bought Charlotte up in Charlotte. I know I have. Maybe I'm buy some Saturday when I go there.
They're spread out.
So what's next, man? What are you gonna conquer next? What like geographical region or the next you know?
Do you do anything else?
Do you get 10 more? Do you get 20 more?
Yeah, so I'm starting to expand out and looking at doing it like different developing projects. You know, we're actually my father and I bought a piece of land downtown Greensboro, and we're about to put 140 unit multifamily on it with 10,000 commercial square feet on the side. So we're working through that.
I said, allow me to be there. Please allow me to just be there
for sure
for this process. Because real estate is my thing. But I can always learn.
Shoot, I need to learn from you. This is all.
I'm sure we can, but please allow me to.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you selected the developer yet?
No, not yet. No, we can talk.
I know it's not me, but I know some very qualified folks.
We definitely need to talk. Like I said, I'm teaching myself through this. I also bought some land in Charlotte that I'm about to try to develop in terms of tearing the existing structure down, build it back up. So those are some things I'm working on. I've been buying different pieces of real estate. Just bought a 24,000 square foot building in Chicago. So I'm doing a lot of that. Looking at any other business that I look in. Let me preface this with this. Any other business that I look at, it's got to be able to run itself. Because McDonald's is the goose that lays the golden eggs, and I will never ever compromise that goose. If there's anything that's going to take away from me making sure that it lays those golden eggs, I will stop it immediately.
Lynch says keep the main thing the main thing.
It's the main thing.
Yeah.
It is the main thing.
Systems,
McDonald's
right?
feeds McDonald's feeds everything else.
Right.
And so it will always run at its ultimate. So when you ask me what's the next level, when you talk about 4 to 50, there's a much bigger number that's those 50 is generating.
Okay.
If you slip 1% at the end of that year,
You're lying.
that's millions.
Right.
That if you let labor slip here all year long, or you let this food and paper slip here all year long, or outside services, you get that number at the end of the year and it's a 37 and it should have been a 38, you've lost millions. So that is something else that I watch and make sure that I don't care how big you get.
Yeah.
Pennies is pennies, nickels is nickels, dimes is dimes, and all of that adds up. And so if you don't watch your pennies, nickels, and dimes, you will be losing money exponentially.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't want to lose money exponentially because that's other things I could do with that money. It's people that I could help with that money if I'm not wasteful. So always looking at that, always keeping my eye on the main thing, and then growing outside of that just to continue. I don't ever believe that you stop or you rest. I just don't believe that. If I retired tomorrow, I still find something else to do.
Ain't that one of the 10 commandments?
We talked
Still
about
find
that.
something else to do.
We're not going
All right, so I got a 2-part question. You have people watching this from all walks of life, and somebody may be inspired by your story that will say, you know what, I want a McDonald's. What should they be doing now? And obviously you're pro franchise, and what other franchise have you seen that you're like, no, you should, that's a dope operation, or I would go and look into that.
So the first part, because people all the time tell me they want to do McDonald's or they want to franchise in McDonald's, and I'm like, well, have you worked in one? And they're like, no. So first off, any business that you're talking about getting into, you should research it. And like a McDonald's, go work in a McDonald's, because McDonald's is not a good situation for you if all you want to do is dump some money into it and walk away. It's not that business. McDonald's, especially, depending on how you come in, you gonna have to work. Just like you were talking about 4. When you first get in, most likely you're gonna come in and buy 1 to 4. You're gonna work. You're gonna work, and if you don't work, the money you put into it will be gone, and McDonald's will take those stores away from you and sell them to the next person, right? At a bargain, right? At a bargain, and your money will be gone. So.
Adrian got 54 stores.
Yeah. I believe in franchising because of this, though. Franchising and what you pay in franchising fees and franchise royalties, it should afford you the support to be successful if you want to be successful. It should afford you the resources within that company to give you the answers to the questions that you are having about your business, about all those types of things. That's why you get in a franchise. That's why because I could go do Adrian's hamburgers. Well, then I got to go market to people. I got to go bring them in. As soon as I turn their marches on, they're coming in. I pay for that. But also, if I have a problem with this, I can pick up the phone. I got somebody to call. So you pay for those resources. So there are other franchises out there that are good franchises that you can go look at. But you want to make sure that when you're looking at them, you're asking the questions about the resources that they have, the things that you're going to get for your franchising fee, because that fee comes at a cost to you, but it should come with something. They should be bringing you something for that fee. So there's a lot of other franchises out there. There's some good franchises. Massage Envy. I showed a lot of friends that, and I say there's 4 or 5 friends that I had that went and got into Massage Envies and own several of them now, including family members.
What should I be doing? What should I look at?
Man, bruh, you have a whole podcast on what you're doing. Yeah, you can't. I want to know more about what you're doing.
So stay in my lane, you saying?
I'm just saying.
That's cool. I'm cool to hear that. I'm okay to hear that.
I mean, you doing all right. You got your own. You know what? You should franchise what you do.
It's hard.
There should be a way for you to franchise.
You know better than you. You know more than I about franchises. So
I should help you franchise what you do, because you should have people paying you across the country for what you've set up here locally. And
I've helped tens and thousands of people become financially free for free.
Oh, that's pretty awesome too.
Yeah, I like that part.
Yeah, that's pretty
I like
awesome
that.
too.
Bars.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, bars.
Bars.
Actually free for free.
Yeah, 10,000 to tens of thousands of folks.
Actually, you know what though? That feeds back into you, and that's why you're successful. And that I watched my father growing up help people all the time, and do it quietly. Like he just
Under the
does
radar.
it, just completely under the radar.
Yeah.
And that's 100% why I felt like he's been successful. It's 100% why I feel like I've been successful. You've got to pour back into others. I think that's the only reason why God continues to bless me is because I continue to bless others. So
You can't stop the blessings.
No, can't never stop the blessings,
because
man.
So I met your dad. I met the mystical Smitty at a gala.
it's the most down to earth person you could ever meet.
Medical Society gala. I was introduced to him, and I told that was probably 9 months before I met you.
Oh,
And I
okay.
told him, I said, hey, man, I met Adrian, and he was like, so what do you do? And I told him, man, he just like started schooling me. He just started pouring into me like right then and there, right? I left that experience going, Adrian had this all his life. I know you had the tough stuff, but I'm like, because I didn't have a father, right?
I got
I didn't
you.
have a biological father.
Yeah.
So, and it was, that was my thought, like, damn, Adrian had this all his life. Oh my God. And it was like, unprovoked. And he just started telling me, focus on this. You should do this. Think about this. He just, like I said, he just started pouring into me.
Yeah,
That was phenomenal.
It was
man.
legitimately though a tag team effort because Smitty was working most of the time.
Yeah.
Like he was out there getting it. He was gone, like in the stores or before even when he was working with the company, he was out. My mom's
holding
was
it
no
down.
joke.
Yeah.
Like from the chores to just this is how you do this. This is the right way to do this. There was no, we had to do chores and dishes. So when we would do our dishes, there was no using the dishwasher. We had to wash them and then we could sit them in the dishwasher to dry.
My mom
Well,
did that too.
if she found one dirty fork, she took all the dishes out and we had to rewash every one of them. So it was no half stepping. It was always about you do the right thing, not because I might find it wrong, but because that's the right way to do it. So I had that philosophy to this day. You do the right thing no matter who sees it, no matter. So yeah, Smitty is he's something else, and I learned a lot of lessons from him, not only from talking to him, but for watching him. Just his work ethic, him getting up, him getting it, him doing it, him going around the obstacles, even though they were there. Like there was no plan B, and so. But Mom's definitely had his back, and every time Smitty said we move him, she was like, "Let's go,
Let's go. Wow.
let's go,
No
I'll go
opposition.
pack.
yeah, let's go."
I got a question, man. I want to know what you do to actually get better.
So I continue to work on my temple. I continue to try to be healthy. I just turned 50 this year. And so that was a big,
Shout
that
out
was
to
a
50 for 50.
50 for 50.
Yeah.
So,
50 by 50.
so taking care of myself is one, and surrounding myself with people like you and y'all. That to me, that's how we grow. Because, I feel like that, like you were talking about earlier, when I sat at that meeting we had at that first time, and we go around the table and you just say, talk to us about what you've been going through lately.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, I never heard anybody really ask me that. They ask you, but they're superficial. How you been,
doing?
bro? How you
Yeah,
been?
that's fake.
But but you all were going around the table and literally talking about some of the challenges that you were having. And so after that, what you working on? So we talk about that. And it just, that's what kind of builds you up. So surrounding myself with people, like-minded people that continue to pour into me. Because what you were saying earlier, a lot of times folks like us feel like we're on an island. We're by ourselves. And we feel like we don't have anybody to talk to. So when I get around folks that I feel like I can talk to and pour out and then pour into, that's what I do. I just try to surround myself with some good folks. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Podcasts as well. I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Man, so this is the Endgame podcast where we try to help people focus on the end game, and then back into that end game by putting the end first, even if the end is one store and then the end might be 3 stores, then the end might be 10 stores. Well, and we've never had the opportunity to ask anybody else this because we kind of have an idea of what our end games
Gotcha.
are, right?
Yep.
What's your end game?
So my end game is to continue to grow my business and my wealth to where my kids, and so on
Vanderbilt.
are living good lives because of what I'm doing right now.
Right.
I envision if I can set up my kids with and set it up. When I say set it up with attorneys and all kinds of folks that here's the principle.
Right.
Yeah.
The interest on a very conservative rate gives y'all all good lives.
Right.
And then the principle is going to get shifted down to your kids. Ain't no one ever can touch the principle.
Yeah.
If they're only touching the interest,
Yeah.
they're living good lives.
Forever.
And that principle just keeps getting passed on and passed on and passed on for generations.
So your great grandkids will say, I never met him, but he was a bad man.
Absolutely.
Bad man.
He was a
Absolutely.
bad boy.
But that's how the other side, that's what the other side does.
Oh, no doubt.
That's what the other side does.
No doubt.
I mean, you see that all the time.
It's normal.
It's normal. Exactly. I want it to be normal for my family.
Absolutely.
I want it to be normal for my family. That's my end game.
That's what I'm talking
That's the only reason I'm doing this.
So question for you, if you had the intention of the entire world right now on this podcast, what is one thing you would say to the entire world?
And I've heard this on some of your other podcasts. Which one am I looking at? This one,
straight in front. Yeah.
I've heard this on some of your other podcasts, and I firmly believe in this. You got to have a vision. You have to see. You have to. It's just like getting in your car and going somewhere. You have to know where you want to go, and you have to see it. Like you have to completely envision it. When I get in a car and I know I'm going from point A to point B, I literally am mapping out the streets I'm taking and how I'm getting there. You got to do the same thing in life. You got to see where you are today and where you want to be. And then you have to envision all of that stuff, you know, how it looks, how it feels, how all of that. And then you got to go get it. You got to go get it. There is no plan B. There are so many days I woke up and I didn't want to get out of bed. So many days I woke up and I didn't feel like doing it, but that wasn't an option. Because of that vision and because of the fact that I believed in that vision and believe in that vision, it got me up out of the bed and made me go get it. So I tell people all the time, you got to go get it. Nothing is going to come to you that you don't go get.
Got to create that vision and go get it.
You got to go get it.
I love it, man.
I love it, man.
Yo, before you leave, man, I got to tell you that you got to come see my second spot.
Okay.
And I also got to tell you that Wendy resigned from being a police officer.
Good for her.
She's not a police officer.
That's what's up. Congrats. Because that only means that things is good and she's coming over there to help you out and
she got
join
her own
you.
thing going on. She's got her own boutique of women's clothing.
She got her own vision.
and
She's going to go get it.
I love it.
And she sees it.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome.
we
And congrats.
appreciate you.
I still haven't met the newest addition to the fam, so
man.
congrats on that as
wait
well.
till you
She's so
see it.
cute, bro.
Oh,
That's
gosh.
crazy.
I already know.
Tootie the boss.
Got her wrapped around his finger. Right.
Oh,
wrapped.
I
Tootie
can't
the
do
boss.
nothing.
And we gotta get our luncheons back going.
For sure.
Yeah, we're going to set that up before we leave.
Thanks for time, man. We appreciate you.
We
I appreciate you
for
guys.
coming,
Yeah,
man. We know you're
absolutely.
super busy,
The best
Glad it
first
worked
guy.
out.
But you just
Yeah.
bless the people.
Glad we
man,
can finally get the
getting
date on the
Without a doubt.
calendar.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. You know what it is, man. If you've been watching this podcast, it's been great. You know, my name is Max Maxwell.
I'm Rod Brown.
I'm Lynch Hunt.
And if you've been watching this far, please do us a favor. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't. And we love having you guys here. Give us a 5-star rating on the podcast. Anywhere you listen to it. And don't forget, tune in every single, I think we're doing what, Sundays now? Was Sundays good or go back to Monday?
Sunday was, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it was dope. I think I was at the
little-
crib, watching.
A little early job. Yeah, little.
Anyways, every week we drop a new episode. We love y'all, man. It's the Endgame Podcast. We out.
Peace.
Great job, yo.